Okay, during this pandemic crisis, I'll make another video. And I'm trying to break them into topics because it's a very complex situation. Um, and this is a global crisis, not just a national crisis. Um, and right at the moment, I'd like to thank everyone who's been following me and following these videos. The comment section is open. I hope that everything is fine with you and conditions are getting better, okay? Because in the comment section, I've had comments from people all over the world stating what things are happening in their locale, from all parts of the United States to Europe, the United Kingdom, Austria, Poland. I haven't heard anything from anyone down in Australia. There's a bunch of Canadian guys that have said something. Nothing from South America. Okay, and I think a lot of it too is things are changing so fast and you don't know who to believe or what communication's going on. There's a lot of people out here on YouTube telling you all kinds of crazy stuff about troops moving in the U.S., potential martial law, and a lot of scary things. And all of this restriction of movement, like what I'm going to talk about, these lockdowns, shelter in place, and a lot of people are talking about the possibility of martial law. Some of it is true, but some of it I really can't see it happening. Okay, it's just impossible. So, all right, let's recap how it is. And like I said, please, if you see the video, you got something to say, put it down in the comment section. And that way it kind of spreads and helps other people from other areas communicate and, read the comments in the comment section. There's a lot of people putting their input from all over the globe in these. Okay, and that's kind of why I make the videos. So, a lot of it started with the containment of movement because of the pandemic. Okay, which makes sense. You want to keep people from moving around and spreading this. Okay, so as far as Europe is concerned, most of the countries in Europe are way smaller than the U.S. and they have sealed their borders and there's no traveling whatsoever. Okay, and it's created a lot of problems because there are some smaller countries like Estonia, Latvia, the Baltic states. They're not that big, and if everybody seals their borders off, I guess they rely a lot on outside supplies and stuff. It's hurting them, and even some of the other countries that are more established it's really difficult times for everyone there in Europe, from what they're telling me. Another thing is the communication in the news. Okay, and on YouTube there's several people that are going on about martial law, movement of government troops, and this ominous stuff that they're going to just keep going and make it difficult and start detaining people and, a lot of political maneuvering. They're trying to pass gun control laws. They're trying to activate an emergency powers or whatever, like wartime conditions, where they're setting up a secondary government. There's talk of a government overthrow, being able to arrest people without trial, arrest, detain, and confine people without trial or any kind of hearing. Okay, so there's all these rumors. And it is kind of frightening, but here's what I've known so far. The only place that they have deployed the National Guard is a small town down in New Rochelle. It's a suburb, a little community down there around New York City. It's the only place I've heard where this is done, and they've quarantined the whole little community. And probably because the way it's situated with the way it is, an older community in an old city, they can do that within reason. Okay, where I live in a development out in the country, it'd be awful difficult to quarantine or hold people in the community because we live very spread out, far apart. Okay. Now, a lot of people said they've seen military vehicles being moved by train. Well, you can see that at any time. It means nothing. Okay, and there's actually video of these tanks or armored personnel carriers being moved on flatbed cars and that. Well, that happens all the time. Okay. As for the orders and then the martial law, well, martial law is like the LA riots, where they had the National Guard come out in armored personnel carriers with guns, sealing off that side of the city where the rioting got out of control and the population went nuts. Okay, that in itself, to do on a scale in the United States would be impossible. Our military is at its lowest manpower levels in history, okay, as compared to about 35, 40 years ago when I went in, when the military was kind of, the peacetime military was at its largest in history in the 80s. By the end of the 90s, the U.S. military was cut in half, and I think now it's even less than what those levels were back then in the height of the Cold War. So to deploy all of our military, that's all our military personnel, our National Guard and everything else, it is impossible to declare martial law nationally and mobilize everyone to do this. Okay, so I doubt that is going to happen. What has been put in place, and what I know is true, is the president has told the governors of all 50 states that they have the power to close. Okay, they're kind of shifting who has the power to have a restriction or close at their discretion. And it's kind of like martial law. They're asking you not to move. So they call this a lockdown, shelter in place, or I forget, it started today in North Carolina. Okay, they call it a stay-at-home order. They don't call it a lockdown. They're issuing a stay-at-home order. And how this trickles down is the governor okays it, then I guess the city governments approve this or announce this. Okay, so it's a city-by-city thing. The city of Pleasant Garden, where I live in, which is rural and spread out, has not issued this. But Durham, Raleigh, and the major cities here where you have a large concentrated populace are starting to issue these orders either by city or county-wide. Okay, it's very confusing, very disorganized. And basically, it's like some people call me a few days or sent a message or posted a few days ago, like San Francisco, I think Los Angeles, Washington State is an area. Also, there's a lot of activity. A lot of the virus there's more cases, I think, up there or something. But it's kind of like the epicenter in the U.S. For some reason, all of this goes back up to Washington State. You keep hearing it on the news. So all the major cities are issuing, like we said, a stay-at-home order or a lockdown, some places call it, and shelter in place. So what does this mean? Basically, it means stay inside your house and don't go outside. Don't contact people or congregate in a group. Okay, and in my state, it started when I had the video the other week where they closed all the bars and restaurants. Your convenience stores, a lot of them would have a couple little tables at the gas station. You got your gas station, your little grocery store, and a convenience store. And they have these little tables for all the lottery scratch-off people to sit there. Okay, they get a cup of coffee, and there's people that would sit at these little tables. Well, that's all supposed to be removed. You're not allowed to congregate or hang out in the store. So they started off first, the governor, Roy Cooper, closed all bars and restaurants statewide. That was his first order. I think 2 days ago it was I guess malls and that have been closed, but then it got down to where movie theaters, then he restricted it to 200 people, okay, or something like that. So movie theaters and barbershops and salons were asked to close, okay. So that was the next thing. Then today, the different cities, and now in these cities where there's a stay-at-home order, I guess they're reviewing the laws or coming up with a mandate or the rules. You can't have in an enclosed space or a room or a building or anything more than 10 people at one time gathered. If you got 11 people or more, it's a class 2 misdemeanor, okay? And law enforcement has been told to go out and enforce this in the cities where they had given the stay-at-home order. So now it's like ratcheting up gradually. Now watching the news and that, my wife said that they were talking about lifting some of these restrictions to ease things. And so that's what I thought was happening. I didn't really make a video because that's what I thought was happening the other day. I think today's Wednesday. I thought Tuesday this was going to happen or something. And now it's like a total reverse. Now they're getting more restrictions and these orders, and they've actually figured out how they're going to enforce this. I don't know. I have to go out for a ride later today and see and meet somebody, but that's about it. But I haven't really seen much. And also this order is kind of strange. There are exceptions, like supermarkets, stores, places where people have to go and get food and supplies and that and everything. This isn't, it doesn't pertain to them. You can go there, there can be more than 10 people. Okay, but now it's like 10 friends, or if you have a bunch of friends come to your house, there's more than 10 inside or outside. And the way it's worded too is very strange. Any confined indoor place, this and that, and then it says, and outdoors. Outdoors what? That means if there's 10 people standing in a group together on a street corner, they can be arrested, or in a parking lot, or, it's kind of very confusing, put it that way. I don't know. I doubt there will be martial law to where there will be troops in the street and roadblocks and stuff like that. I don't think that'll happen. Or it hasn't happened yet, but it doesn't look like it because I don't think they have the resources to do that. The stay-at-home orders, class 2 misdemeanor, are they going to arrest people? Are they going to arrest like the 12 people standing together? Or are they just going to fine them or cite them, give them a citation like a ticket and fine them? I don't understand, because I've never committed a class 2 misdemeanor, so I don't know what the hell happens to you. Okay. So this is kind of snowballing. I thought there was going to be a little bit relief, but now they're going on and putting more restrictions, and it's going city by city, and it's kind of like where you are. Like these small cities like Pleasant Garden, Randleman, and that, I doubt very much they'll do that, and really there's never groups of people hanging around anyway, in normal life, so I don't know. Okay, but it is starting to get hairy. I'll see how it goes. I mean, anywhere I go is just about closed. The flea markets are closed. The bars and restaurants are closed. My wife, who's a teacher, was just informed the other day, took them a week or so, that they are not resuming school. She's in a grade school. Okay, not a college or high school. She's in a regular elementary school. Until May 15th, okay, is the date they said. Supposedly now they've come to it. That's when they're going to reopen the schools. So for now, I really can't say. I'm going to have to kind of travel around and see what's going on, because I have been in the house the past couple of days. It's been raining. I haven't been outside. Neighbors been mowing the lawn, and people are milling around doing yard work. So I guess that's allowed as long as you don't have 10 people with you. But that's how it is in North Carolina. I know some other places, especially larger cities, this has been in place days ago, and I haven't really heard of anybody. A couple things, if somebody had a party or wedding reception, and one stayed in New Jersey, and the neighbor called the police, and the guy was arrested and fined. I guess if you kind of push it, they will look to make an example of you. As for the mass arrests or going through checkpoints and roadblocks, well, I'll go out today and see if there are any. Okay, but I'm not quite sure. And really, it's confusing on how are they going to enforce this. I mean, the police are already stretched to the limit. The emergency workers and that, are they going to actually patrol and look for people gathering together? Or is it just an excuse that if there's some sort of a disturbance and a group of people gather, that they can arrest them all? Okay, I think that's more what they're looking to do with these orders. Because I don't see people just on their own gathering. In any place that you would go where there's people, like the store or the supermarket, they're exempt. So it's kind of funny. But that's what I've heard so far. If there's any real drastic changes or any crazy stuff, I'll try to post another video when I get the chance.